All right.
All right, good morning and welcome to the Employability Skill Series, where we explore the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. Each week, we will cover a different topic with thoughts and insights from professionals in a variety of industries. I am your host, Megan Morrow, Associate Director of Business Careers, and today I have Mike Neighbors, professor here at FSC, as my guest, and today we will be discussing the importance of organization and planning in the workplace. This is going to be a little bit shorter of a call because, we're duty calls. Mike has to go teach. I mean, that's what it says. Uh, but Mike is an Emmy award-winning veteran broadcast journalist with over 30 years of television experience working for national, regional, and local networks across the United States. Currently, Mike is a TV host of the New Orleans Saints. Now, you gave me this a year ago, so I don't know if I have to update this or not. So I'll have to check in with you, Mike, afterwards and see if I need to update your bio. But he's been with the New Orleans Saints, a position he's held since 2006. He anchors pre- and post-game shows along with his Errands series, which is a segment he created where he runs errands with Saint players, which airs on the All Saints platforms. He most recently authored The Breezeways, which I saw in your office. I need to grab a copy of that and read it, which is a book that chronicles the career of the future Hall of Fame quarterback. Prior to the New Orleans Saints, Mike was the TV host of the Tampa Bay Lightning, serving as the team's pregame host and ringside reporter. Mike is also a national and regional host for Fox Sports Net, covering every major sporting event and team in Florida for 3 years. Mike is the founder and CEO of Neighbors Media Group, a full-scale video and multimedia marketing production company. And he is an adjunct professor at Florida Southern's Barney Barnett School of Business, where he launched courses in both sports innovation entrepreneurship and the business of sports media. His classes are available to graduate and undergraduate students. So good morning, Mike. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Let's get organized. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, so today we're talking about organization and planning. I'm really glad I asked you to be my guest on this because I think I just told you, I heard you talking to Professor Notchtagal about just how important it is to be organized and planning. And I know you were kind of talking about the students and just about like the workload in general. So let's just talk a little bit about that. Why is this important?
You know what? I try to look at it from an experience perspective. I'm old, Megan. I went back to school when I was 50 years old, and I wanted to go in person to get my master's so I could teach, so I could become a professor. And one thing that I noticed that bugged me a little bit, and I know students can relate to this, is you want your professor to be organized. You want to know what's expected when you go to class, right? And I saw that firsthand because some professors, they were organized and knew what to expect. And, just like anything in life, you have good and bad experiences. So I knew when I became a professor that based on my experience, I wanted to be organized. I wanted to make sure my students knew what was expected. I always tell them very descriptive details about assignments, what I want. And I try to grade very quickly too, because I want to keep up with the students. If I see something that's slipping a little bit, I want to make sure they know so we progress together. So I think if you keep up with your students in terms of organization as a professor, it helps your students be organized too.
Oh, 100%. It's a feeling too, if I go into the classroom and I don't know what I'm teaching or what I'm going to be covering that day, and I haven't even looked at my lesson plans, it's almost like it causes, well, me personally, it causes a little bit of anxiety. And
Yeah.
I feel like that class is more of we're just bumbling our way through it. And there's no logical progression from one topic to the next to the next. It's almost like I'm just trying to fill that space. And I'm sure my
Right.
students feel that too.
Yeah, I'm old school. I like these oversized index cards. And the funny thing is, I'll make all these notes, and I used them in TV when I would have a live shot. And the funny thing about being organized is, frankly, I rarely use them. They're like my security blanket. I just have them in case something happens. Mentally, I feel better because I have my index cards, but I rarely use them. And it goes back into preparation. I think a big part of organization is being prepared. If you put the work in, you feel more organized, you feel ready to go, whether it's teaching, whether you're a student doing a group project, whether you're doing a presentation. If you put the work in, you're going to be more organized. So I think hard work and organization really go hand in hand.
Oh, I agree 100%. And we are asking our students to be organized.
Yeah.
and prepared, so I'm sure like with you, like when I give an assignment there, the assignment is, I talk about it, I explain it, I assign it, I give them a due date, and then I even give them like a lock date. And if I'm expecting them to stay on top of my class, and I'm just one of many, like they usually have 4 or 5 other classes that they're also trying to juggle. How can I expect them to stay on top of their work and be organized and plan ahead, if I'm not doing that? So it's like that whole lead by example part too.
Yeah, television was a great preparation for uh, teaching in a lot of ways because when I had an assignment, whether I'm doing a pregame show or hosting a postgame show, I had to work with my producers. And producers are always pretty organized people. Some are more organized than others. And frankly, the better organized producers, when I was in television, I was a better reporter because I knew what was expected, just like hopefully my students know what's expected in my classes. It really is anything in life. I mean, if you want to go into finance, if your bosses are organized, you're going to feel better about your job and really have a better expectation level of what's required. So I don't care what you do in life. Organization is everything because it really sets the tone for how much work you're going to get done. Because if you're not organized, you're asking a lot of questions, you're wasting time. But if you are organized, you hit the ground running and you move forward quicker.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. You have to have a plan. That's the
Yeah.
whole part, the planning ahead and stuff, and know what's going from day to day. And I think about that in the workplace because, as I tell my students, and I'm sure you do this well, like when you can't wait till the last minute. So like for my class, like if I assign something today, they have until next Wednesday at 11:59 to make sure that they turn it in for full credit. And I
Right.
tell them you cannot wait. Like, and I see this all the time. I see submissions like at 11 o'clock, 11:15, 11:30. And I'm like, you guys are waiting to last minute. Like you're going to have Wi-Fi issues. Your computer's going to crash or update, or this particular template won't open for you. But if you're waiting until that last minute, you're not planning ahead, you're going to run into issues like, because I'm not checking my email at 11 o'clock at night to help students navigate any of these technical issues that they have when they've had an entire week to do the assignment. So I think that's really pivotal because I tell them all the time, this isn't going to work at work when you're out in the real world and your boss gives you a project or gives you, a deadline and you just go, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't feel well, or something came up, or my roommate was having an issue. Like it just doesn't work that way. So you have to plan ahead and you have to be prepared for those things that are going to happen, like your Wi-Fi is going to go out, or your motion light in your office is going to go out. That happens
Just
to you
roll
all
with the
the time.
punches. You know what? You touched on it, but I think a byproduct of organization is punctuality, being on time. I fight this. I tell my daughters about this all the time. How many times I think we can all relate to this? All you students who are watching this, I know Professor Morrow, you understand this as well. How many times are we in traffic and we're irritated we keep getting red lights, or we're irritated that there's a slow car in front of us? You know what? If we left a little bit earlier, we probably wouldn't have to worry about that
Yeah.
because we know we're going to be on time. That's organization, being on time, being prepared. When we are on time, when we are prepared, we're better organized. And frankly, we feel better
Mhm.
because we know we are ready for anything. Now, it's frustrating, as I mentioned earlier, when maybe those around us aren't organized, but all we can take care of is are ourselves, and because we're organized, you're likely going to advance. You're going to be applauded by your bosses. You're going to be respected by your peers. But just think of the traffic analogy. If you left maybe 10 minutes earlier, maybe those 3 red lights in a row wouldn't bug you as much. Maybe that slow driver in the left lane wouldn't bug you because you're going to be on time anyway. The
Mhm.
same goes with organization. If you prepare, like I do these nerdy index cards, I feel better going into class because I know I have a concept of what I'm going to do more so than if I didn't prepare. Being organized reduces stress and it improves confidence because you feel better that you're really ready for anything.
No, I love that. I absolutely love that. I don't have the index cards, but I do an outline. No, I love it. And I teach 5 classes. It's the same class, but 5 different sections. And so it's 5 different groups of students with different personalities, different times of day, different days of the week. So anything can and does happen. For example, the hurricane that's coming our way.
Yeah.
I have an evening class on Wednesdays. I've got classes tomorrow. Well, I taught in person on Tuesday, and now I'm not going to be teaching in person, so it's going to be a little bit different. But I've got to keep that organized. I've got to know what I talked about in my Tuesday 8 a.m. class, what I assigned, what
Right.
is upcoming. Like if I don't keep track of that, how am I to expect my students to know what's coming if I don't even know what I'm doing?
You control what you can, right? And to me, there's so many things in life we can't control, like a hurricane. I mean, in my sports marketing class, we talked about contingency plans. There's a lot of organizations in sports that try to prepare for anything, but there are some points where you can't prepare for a devastating hurricane that hit New Orleans back in 2005
Yeah.
that wiped out the Superdome for a year and a half. You can't prepare for that. But what you can do as an organization is try to put a plan in place if something like that happens that your team will be ready. Now that's a broad example,
Mhm.
but I think the minor examples are day-to-day life. Things happen. You get a flat tire.
Mhm.
You may trip and have an injury going to class. I mean, all kinds of little things could happen. But if you're organized, I think on a daily basis, and you show it to your professors and you show it to your classmates, they're going to understand that, things happen, but they really respect the fact that, you show up every day and you're prepared and you're organized, and that should give you a feeling of satisfaction, reduce stress, give you confidence, where you control what you can. The things outside of that, you do the best you can. But I think a good message in this is just control what you can, and you do that by being organized and being prepared.
That's a really great point. And you've said this a couple times on this call, just about how it reduces stress and you feel better. And like that is just one. I mean, if I can reduce stress in my life, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to take it.
Absolutely.
I'm a mother. I work full time. I've got
Right.
all these things going on. And if I could, there's no way that I could do that. I've got two boys who have two different schedules. I've got one in middle school, one in high school. I got one that's about ready to graduate and he's going to be going off, and I've got my own school schedule. And if I wasn't organized and I didn't know where my children were or what day it was, when I'm teaching what class, or if I have a meeting, like it would just be utter chaos and that would be super stressful. So yeah, that's a great point to make, that if you can reduce the stress in your life just by putting a plan in place, knowing what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, whether that is putting reminders on your calendar or actually having like a planner of some sort, so that you know exactly like where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do, what's coming up next. You'll be prepared. It will be less stressful. You'll be more confident. And then, yeah, you're not just on this constant scrambling and just chaos, basically. So that's a really good point that you make.
Do what's good for you, though. Everybody's not going to like these. Do what's good for you. I had a freshman student ask me recently, it was different in high school with my assignments. I had a little more help, and I know a lot of you freshmen who are watching this can feel this way. How do I stay on top of all these assignments? And I said, well, first of all, you have to understand college. You're much more is expected now because you're older, you're on your own, you're away from home. But you got to develop whatever your index card system is. Maybe in your dorm room or wherever you live, you have a post-it and you put the different assignments that you have. Now I'm old, so maybe you don't know what a post-it is, or maybe you don't use index cards. Maybe you put a file in your computer and just have assignments, or an email that you keep in your drafts, assignments every week where you have reminders. Whatever it takes, you got to develop a plan that's good for you. And once you develop that plan, just think about it. I think you should always have the mindset of, I want to have this class I'm going to look forward to because I'm organized. I'm not dreading it because I'm not organized. I know when that test was. I know when that assignment was. I did all the preparation. I'm actually looking forward to taking that test. I'm looking forward to going to that class and participating in that class. Why? Because I prepared for it. I didn't wait till the last minute, and I organized a way that was good for me. Now, I can give you several ways to organize, but I think at this stage in your life, it's going to be trial and error. You need to start with a plan. If it doesn't work, you need to adapt that plan, but you got to have a plan. You got to have some kind of plan to stay organized, because if you don't, that's not going to bode well for you in your academic career.
And that won't translate over into your actual career either. And
Absolutely.
Rachel just posted in the chat pod that she still uses a whiteboard and post-it notes. She says she likes to write stuff down. I'm the
Love
same
it.
way. Like when I was in college, I was obsessed. I didn't do so hot my first semester. It was my first time away from home. I'd moved from Pittsburgh to Atlanta. I went literally from the country to the inner city. It was a lot of culture shock. I was away from my parents for the first time. And I had some freedom. So I played a little bit. And so the other 7 semesters I had to really work to recover from that first semester that I didn't do so hot GPA wise. So I got myself a planner, and I literally wrote in it like for every class, every assignment. And then if there was a test coming up, I forced myself to study daily for a week in advance. And I like to, I don't know, Rachel, if you're like this too, because she says she likes to write stuff down. I really get a kick out of writing stuff down and then being able to cross it off. Like I just get so much
Yeah.
satisfaction of being like, this is my to-do list. And I'm like, that's off. Now I don't have to worry about it. And it's this feeling of like, hi, it's like it's accomplishment, you know? It feels fantastic to be like, it's done. Like I'm like, I feel like Monica Geller. Check.
Yeah, and I have one of those in my office at home. And here's the thing, too. Listen, we're talking about school, we're talking about work, but all of us like to have fun in our lives. You know how we can have more fun? If we're organized, if we budget our time, if we get the work done, if we develop a system, whether it's a whiteboard, whether it's index cards, post-its, whether it's a file on your computer, if you develop organizational habits, you will find, wow, I have a plan in place and now I can have fun this weekend because I got my work done.
Yeah.
Just think about that. That's a great feeling that you can really budget your time and you have more fun with your friends or family knowing that you got the work done, right? Or you have a plan in place that you're going to get the work done moving forward.
Yeah, it's a great feeling.
Yeah.
If you're somebody like us, and it sounds like Rachel is too, you know, like it's, you know, it's a feeling of satisfaction, it's a feeling of accomplishment, and that time off on the weekend or, you know, at the end of the day or whatever, it's well deserved. Because you're
Yes.
like, I accomplished everything on my task,
Right.
my task list. I planned ahead. And I even think about finances too, talking about planning ahead. You get a paycheck. How are you going to spend that? You know, you have
Right.
to pay your rent and your bills, but you should also have fun. And if you don't plan and budget ahead, you could find yourself at the end of every month or at the end of every, excuse me, pay cycle going, oh, you know, snap, what am I going to do? I have a couple more days till payday and I don't have any money. So this whole idea of planning and being organized is really, it spans across all aspects of our life, not just our work or school or anything like that. It's everything that we do that, and so that you're not just living in this constant chaos of like, okay, I don't know what to do next. I don't know how to budget my money or my time. And I have to run to the store. Think about the hurricane coming. People are going to the store and stacking up on supplies so that they're not left without, or they're not scrambling like today or tomorrow when, you know, when we're supposed to get kind of like the bad weather, the brunt of it.
Absolutely. Think about things in your life that you dread. Boy, I don't want to do that paper, or I don't want to do this assignment. If you have a plan in place and you get your work done in a manner where, you feel good about getting assignments done and you have free time, and then you week after week, you kind of tweak that plan and you improve it and you improve it, you will dread these assignments less. You will dread the papers less because, all of us dread things, but all of us have a great sense of accomplishment when we get them done. But the better organized we are, we'll get things done faster,
Yep.
and we'll feel better about ourselves and we'll feel better about our plan, whatever it is, moving forward.
That's great. No, that's wonderful. Because I agree 100%. This topic is very near and dear to my heart. And I know that we're running out of time, so you got to get to class. But you know, just even like with my own children, my kids can ask
Yeah.
me, and I'm a little bit on the extreme, so this isn't for everybody. But my kids could ask me like, "Oh, hey, I do we have tape?" I don't know, for example, and I'd be like, yes, it's in the kitchen. It's in the third drawer to the left of the microwave. It's behind the stapler and to the right of, you know, the pens. And it's definitely extreme, but my kids are like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I just do it. That's my brain and it
Right.
works well for me. But even last night I was playing a game called Blockus with my little one, and it's these little like almost like Tetris kind of pieces. And
Right.
basically the idea is that you're kind of trying to block the other person so that they can't keep moving. Well, he's 11, so he's just willy-nilly throwing his tiles down, and I'm over here because you know, no mercy. I'm like, I'm obliterating him with every round because I can see the plan I'm playing. Yeah, I'm preparing that child for real life. I mean, there is no, you know, trophies, no participation trophies in my house. And so like, as I'm winning and he's finding himself like stuck and he's like, oh man, again. And I'm like, you got to think ahead. You got to be, it's like playing chess.
Right.
So I know that we're running out of time,
Well,
Mike, we got to get to class, but did you have any last closing remarks for our live student, Rachel? Thank you so much for joining us. But for those that are going to be watching the call later on.
Yeah, I would say this, you made some good points as a parent, and I'm a parent too. We do this because we care about you. You do this for your sons, the things you talk about because you care about your kids. We care about you as students. And the reason we are doing this session, we want to help you moving forward. The reason we do everything we do in class, we want to help you. We want to, improve you so you'll be productive moving forward in life. So just find out what your plan is. If you get an organizational plan, whatever it is, and it could be a work in progress, we promise you this will help you moving forward. And we're telling you these things because we care about you.
Big time care. All right. Well, thank you, Mike, for coming on. Guys, please be careful with this storm. Plan ahead. Make sure that if you have pets or anything like that, make sure that they, have food and water and everything like that. Make sure that you have a plan in place. No, I like what Mike said. We care about you. We are here for you. So just let us know if there's anything that you need from us. But thank you for joining us. Make sure that you scan the QR code. I also put the link for the attendance in the chat pod if you need to track that for any type of class attendance purposes. But other than that, thank you for joining us. Thank you again, Mike. Everybody stay safe and we will see you next time. You're welcome.
I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.